Hi, welcome to Hikate's Crossing. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break. We've done a few parts of the Celestine prophecy, right? And we've looked at the first three insights so far. So what I'm going to do is just do a little bit of a experiential guide. This one here. Okay. Now this is by James Redfield and Carol Adrienne, a companion to the Celestine prophecy. Right, so what I just want to go through is just have a look at the first three insights. Okay, so the first one was a critical mass. A new spiritual awakening is occurring in human culture, an awakening brought about by critical mass of individuals who experience their lives as a spiritual unfolding, a journey in which we are led forward by mysterious coincidences. Number two, the longer now. This awakening represents the creation of a new, more complete worldview, which replaces a 500-year-old preoccupation with secular survival and comfort. While this technological preoccupation was an important step, our awakening to life coincidences is opening us up to the real purpose of human life on this planet and the real nature of our universe. Number three is a matter of energy. We now experience that we live not in a material universe, but in a universe of dynamic energy. Everything existent is a field of sacred energy that we can sense and intuit. Moreover, we humans can project our energy by focusing our attention in the desired direction. Where attention goes, energy flows, influencing other energy systems and increasing the pace of coincidences in our lives. Let's dive a little bit deeper. Okay, a critical mass that coincidences that shape our lives. The mystery begins. In the Celestine prophecy, the main character has an unexpected meeting with an old friend, just at the moment in his life when he is feeling disenchanted and thinking about changing directions. Charlene, newly arrived from a trip to Peru where an ancient manuscript has been discovered, is able to shed some light on the cause of his restlessness. Our character, who remains nameless, is introduced to the first insight, becoming conscious of the coincidences working in his life. Skeptical of the idea of a manuscript explaining the secret of human existence, he is nevertheless intrigued by the mystery. That night, after returning home, he has a dream about the nature of coincidences and how they always involve the appearance of a person with information. Buoyed by his increasing interest, he books a flight to Peru. So the first insight, slowly with a little fanfare, a global transformation is taking place. It's described in the ancient teachings of the manuscript found in the Celestine ruins. The first sign that we're awakening to this deep inner call is a profound sense of restlessness. This restlessness may be described as dissatisfaction, even after reaching goals, vague uneasiness, or a sense that something is missing. Once in a while, a chance event surprises and intrigues us. It's as if some higher purpose has been revealed, and for a moment we feel connected to a mystery that nevertheless eludes our grasp. The combination of inner searching, there must be more to life, and an occasional cosmic jostle. Wow, what a strange coincidence. I wonder what that meant. It is a powerful process. Mysterious and exciting coincidences are purposeful in moving us forward in our destiny. They make us feel more alive, as if there is some greater plan at work. As more and more of us, a critical mass, become conscious of this mysterious movement of the universe in our individual lives, the more quickly will we discover the nature of human existence. If we open our minds and hearts, we will be part of the evolution of a new spirituality. So what is coincidence? The first insight in the Celestine prophecy tends to capture our attention and fire our imagination because it taps into what our mythic reality has always taught, that there is a golden key, a magical stranger, a meaningful dream, or an unexpected clue that appears to guide us effortlessly to the treasure or opportunity that we seek. Swiss psychologist Carl Jung called it the archetype of magic effect and claimed that it was a universal trait in humans. Recognizing the important role that coincidence plays in moving our lives along takes us back to the instincts of the alert, poised hunter, praying for the emergence of quarry and the deeply attuned, receptive state of a powerful shaman or a medicine woman. Coincidences are the stuff of stories by firelight and laughing memories at weddings and tales of inordinate success and sublime irony. Life stories are studded by the mysterious byproducts of chance meetings, missed trains, books openings to a significant passage, ajar doors, overheard conversations, a meeting of the eyes across a crowded room. Most of the literature and theatre wouldn't exist without such premises as two people meeting accidentally in a corridor or while waiting to board the ferry to Hong Kong. Much of the sometimes higgledy nature of employment resumes can be explained by the effect of coincidental job opportunities that were not part of a career plan. For example, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the famous expert on death and dying, describes in Woman of Power by Laurel King a turning point while working in a residency with Dr. Sidney Margolin. One day while I was putting together a polygraph machine, he came in and said he had to go somewhere and I would have to take over his lectures. This was like replacing God. I died 1,000 deaths. He said the lecture had to be about psychiatry, but I could pick any subject. I went to the library to see if there was anything written on death and dying, because I thought the students really needed to know about it. Perhaps her choice of subject was unknowingly shaped by her early experiences in war relief in Europe, from which she still carries the images of those who perished in the death camps. Or perhaps this was a point of divine intervention. Whatever guided her choice of subject that day, Kubler-Ross' initial lecture on death and dying started a chain of events that changed the direction of her life and opened up what turned out to be a life's mission. The first insight has its start at the beginning, at the very point of convergence where life's mystery stares back at us, outside our logical expectations and experience. Becoming conscious of the reality of consequences and aware of their message and meaning, the first step to evolving consciously and more quickly. When was the last time you experienced something out of the ordinary? Perhaps this morning you were thinking about someone and then got a phone call from that person. How many times have you said, I was just thinking about you? Was there a significant message from this person? Did you consider why this coincidence might have happened? What followed it? We tend to take for granted many of the subtle, ordinary chance occurrences, and often it was the really startling events that make us shake our head in wonderment. As the manuscript predicted, the notion of seeing coincidences are more than superficially interesting began to emerge as psychology revealed the existence of the unconscious. At about the same time that Einstein was discovering that space and time are relative to the point of reference and not absolutely concepts, another great pioneer, Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, was giving serious study to the idea of meaningful coincidences, and his work had sparked significant inquiries in the past 3 decades. He called this phenomenon synchronicity and believed that it's as natural as connecting principle as cause and effect. With synchronicity, however, we are not able to immediately see the causal link. Nevertheless, coincidences seem to be a primary way that the universe evolves, and many of us have felt this effect in our own lives. Recognizing the importance of coincidences lays the groundwork for the remaining insights, which informs us that the universe responds to our conscious and expectations, creating the chance opportunities to move us along. With the awareness of coincidence, we are attuning ourselves to the mystery of the underlying principle of order in the universe. As Jung said, synchronicity suggests that there is an interconnection or unity of casually unrelated events, and thus postulates a unitary aspect of being. People sometimes wonder if a coincidence is a random event that serves to be awake in them, or is it a response to an unconscious question. Before one has grasped the full extent of the first insight, a coincidence seems to be an amusing or interesting diversion from real life. Once we have understood that evolution often moves forward by leaps of transcausal events, the first insight allows us to look more seriously for the hidden answer or meaning. By the time we've learned to keep our current questions in the forefront of awareness and to ask the right questions, then we know that a coincidence is a response to the archetypal movement toward growth deep within the psyche. Jung, fascinated by the phenomenon he observed repeatedly in patients, named it synchronicity. According to Era Progoff, who interpreted and popularized much of Jung's thinking on the subject, synchronicity might seem to happen as follows. Imagine 2 women, Claire and Danielle, who have agreed to meet to discuss a workshop on intuition. Claire invites Danielle to come to her house at 10 in the morning. Claire, on her own path of cause and effect, gets up, takes a shower, makes coffee, puts out pencil and paper, and waits for Danielle to knock on the door. Danielle, on her own path of cause and effect, gets up, dresses, gets in the car, follows Claire's direction, parks and knocks on Claire's door. So far, they're on parallel tracks, where there is a past, present and future for each of them. In the course of their planning session, the phone rings. It's Bill, who says he just read a great book on psychic healing and wanted to tell Claire all about it. How odd you called. Danielle is here and we're planning our workshop on intuition, explained Claire, feeling energized with the mysterious interplay of events. Bill, who also knows Danielle, tells Claire to say hi to her and hangs up. Danielle, eye-wide, remarks to Claire, how weird, just as you got up to answer the phone, Bill's face came into my mind. Both women felt excited by the mysterious coincidence. According to Jung's theory, Danielle's and Claire's life paths were 2 vertical tracks of events through which Bill's call traversed across time or horizontally. Bill's call became meaningful because the woman had been activated by a common inner archetype. In this case, perhaps the archetype of the teacher gathering information, since her intent was to plan their workshop. In Jung's thinking at the moment of coincidental events, there appears to be a change in the balance of psychic energy present in the unconscious and the conscious area. Like balancing on a seesaw, the coincidence lowers for an instant the intention of the conscious psychic energy, pushing the unconscious material up from the primal depths. The psychic movement is perhaps similar to the galvanizing shock, making Claire and Danielle feel as if something exciting had happened. They suddenly feel more alive. Of course, the beauty of synchronicity is that it is a gift of the universal flow of energy. We don't need a rational explanation in order to be motivated, to be moved by it. However, once we have felt the connection, we might want to play with it a little further to see what it is trying to promote. For example, Danielle, Claire, and Bill might get together with the conscious intent of discovering why the energy suddenly coalesced in this triangle. Do they have further work to do together? Is there a connection or yet undiscovered? Alan Vaughan, author of Incredible Coincidence, a delightful collection of real-life coincidence, comments, the synchronicity events of everyday life are no different in form from the startling dramatic occurrences that excite our wonder and make us say, what an incredible coincidence. The main difference lies in their subtlety, the ways in which minor events of life are shaped and patterned. We often shrug them off as chance, but a moment's reflection makes us realize that the role of chance in our lives extends even to a small personal and meaningful event. Everyday coincidences show the artfulness of our unconscious minds in creating our lives. The least we can do is admire it. The most we can do is to give that creative expression our full support. Coincidences as answers to prayers. Synchronicities seem to occur when we need them most. It might well be that a state of flux, uncertainty, confusion, frustration, and chaos expands the opportunity for chance to play a starring role. As the first insight says, our inner restlessness is a sign that something is afoot, and if we could but see behind the scenes, we might be surprised by the amount of furniture rearranging that is going on. How many times have you experienced the old adage, it's always darkest before dawn? What stories do you have to tell about the all but forgotten loan that is repaid on the day the rent is due, with no money in the bank account, or some similar account of answered prayer? Coincidences come into being most readily when we are in highly expectant state. Most esoteric literature advises that a combination of emotional charge, vivid imagination, stimulates the ability to attract into our lives that which we desire in some form or another. Even the scientific parapsychological experiments conducted at Duke University in the 1950s demonstrated without doubt that the most important factors for success in the ESP test were enthusiasm, high interest in producing accurate guesses, especially at the beginning of the day, and a general sense of hopeful expectancy. Donna Hale, a psychotherapist in Sausalito, California, tells the story. A few years ago, she decided that she wanted to live on Corinthian Island, an exclusive part of Marin County, California. One of her friends laughed at her idea as impractical since the area was so expensive. Fueled by a desire to prove to this friend that she could indeed find a place to live there, she kept looking for an apartment. One day she saw an ad for a house in the exact neighborhood she wanted and made an appointment to see it the next day. Even though she was delighted to find that it had all the characteristics that she wanted, the rent was still more than she wanted to pay. She remembers standing in the blinding light coming in from the bay window, deeply pondering whether to take the house or not, when all of a sudden she saw and heard a seal barking in the water outside. In that instant, she remembered a fragment of a dream from the previous night in which 5 barking seals were splashing in the ocean. She was so amazed by the coincidence of the present scene with the dream that she took it as a sign to go ahead and take the house. Shortly after moving in, her business increased and she was easily able to pay the higher rent. Coincidence, then, is beyond reckoning or will, is elegant, enigmata, and sometimes funny. Coincidence is the mechanism of growth, the how of evolution. It can be mysteriously open up new opportunities through which we transcend outdated, self-limiting ideas and experience the direct evidence that life is much more than materialistically survival or mere intellectual reliance on faith. Life is spiritually dynamic. Using the first insight, increasing its benefit. Be aware that your life has a purpose and events happen for a reason. Begin the process of finding meaning behind each life event. Acknowledge restless energy as a sign of needed change and deeper awareness. Listen to your body. Realize that what you pay attention to will expand. Notice when you feel a signal to talk with someone who might be able to help with your current questions. Where does your intention go? What did you notice today? Trust your process. Live by letting yourself be guided, not by a forced set of goals. Know that you're fulfilling your life's destiny. Start a personal journey through recording synchronistic events. Writing in a journal is a good way to clarify your thoughts. Summary of the first insight. The first insight is the insight of awakening. We look out on our lives and realize that more is occurring than we thought, beyond our everyday routines and challenges. We can detect the mysterious influence of the divine, meaningful coincidences that seem to be sending us messages and leading us in a particular direction. At first, we only glimpse these coincidences as we race by, hardly paying attention, but eventually we begin to slow down and to look more closely at these events. Open alert, we are more able to detect the next synchronistic event. Coincidences seem to ebb and flow, sometimes rushing forward in quick succession, other times leaving us becalmed. Yet we know that we have discovered the soul process that guides our life forward. The remaining insights clarify how to increase the frequency of this mysterious synchronicity and discover the ultimate destiny toward which we are being led. Okay, so that's it for the first insight. Don't forget to check the links down below, check the links on my channel, like, subscribe and ring the bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care and blessed day.